Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be diving into a pretty fascinating world, the world of Curtis James Jackson III, better known as 50 Cent.
Yeah, 50 Cent.
Yeah.
As we find him in 2025, right?
Exactly. So, 50 Cent, obviously hip-hop mogul, but now much more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Media mogul, entrepreneur. So we've got some sources here looking at his estimated net worth, how he's earning his money these days,
Right.
all that good stuff.
Family life, a little bit of real estate,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
So the mission today is really to understand how 50 Cent transitioned from hip-hop artist to entrepreneur to media mogul and figure out what we can learn from his journey.
You got it?
So let's jump right into it. What's 50 Cent's financial landscape looking like these days? What's he pulling in annually?
Well, it's estimated that in 2025, 50 Cent's annual earnings are somewhere between $10 and $20 million.
Okay.
And what's really interesting is where that money is coming from.
Yeah, break it down.
He obviously started off in music. His initial fame came from music.
Right.
But the majority of his income these days is not coming from music.
So less from music, more from all these other ventures he's got going on.
Exactly. He's really diversified.
Yeah.
And that's a big lesson I think we can learn from him. He's got his hands in a lot of different pots.
Yeah.
And that's contributing to that $10 to $20 million annual income.
Right. It's not just music, it's TV. It's the whole power universe that he's created.
Right.
Acting, he's got investments all over the place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about, for example, his Branson Cognac brand.
Okay, yeah.
That's become increasingly popular in recent years, and that's generating some serious revenue for him.
Nice.
He's also been really smart with endorsements over the years. Remember the Reebok deal, and of course the Vitamin Water partnership. That was a huge win for him.
Yeah.
All of this contributes to a pretty healthy annual income.
Yeah, it definitely speaks to his ability to just adapt, to stay relevant, reinvent himself, and maintain that high profile.
Yeah.
Which is, no small feat in the world of hip hop and entertainment.
It's very difficult to do. It takes a lot of work, a lot of strategy, and a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And he seems to have all of those things in spades.
All right, so going back a little bit to the beginning. The name 50 Cent, iconic, memorable. What's the story there?
Yeah, that name's got a lot of history behind it, and it's not just a stage name.
Right.
It actually, comes from his early life in Queens, New York.
Okay.
And he's explained that it represents a transformation. So he actually took it from a notorious Brooklyn gangster who was also known as 50 Cent.
Interesting.
But for Curtis Jackson, adopting that name was about embodying this spirit of change and self-determination. He saw the original 50 Cent as someone who navigated a tough environment, and he wanted to kind of take that energy and apply it to his own life.
So it wasn't about glorifying this past lifestyle. It was more about taking that spirit of change and self-determination, overcoming those difficult circumstances.
Absolutely. It was about taking control of his own destiny.
Now, 50 Cent was discovered, in this kind of legendary story.
Right.
By Eminem. How did that happen?
It's a great story. So around 2002, 50 Cent was making a name for himself, in the underground hip-hop scene.
Okay.
Putting out these mixtapes, really creating a buzz. And one of these mixtapes, I think it was called Guess Who's Back?
Okay.
It ended up in Eminem's hands.
Okay.
And Eminem, upon hearing it, he was just blown away.
What stood out to Eminem? What did he see in 50 Cent?
Well, he saw raw talent.
Okay.
He saw a unique flow.
Okay.
And he saw street credibility.
Yeah.
Which is really important in hip-hop.
Absolutely.
That authenticity.
Yeah.
That connection to the streets.
And that led to Eminem inviting 50 out to Detroit.
Yeah, that's right. He invited 50 Cent to come out to Detroit to meet him and Dr. Dre.
Okay.
And that meeting quickly led to 50 Cent signing with Shady Records and Aftermath Entertainment.
Which was absolutely crucial in his breakthrough into the mainstream.
Yeah, that was a game changer.
Right, yeah.
That partnership with Eminem gave him a platform he never would have had otherwise.
Yeah, and that led to the debut album Get Rich or Die Tryin' in 2003. I mean, that album was everywhere.
It was huge.
Massive commercial success. Launched those mega hits in that club.
Right.
21 Questions. Just really cemented his place in the music world.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal success.
And it's really interesting how that relationship with Eminem has continued.
It is. They've remained close over the years, both professionally and personally. It's a testament to that initial connection, that mutual respect they have for each other's talent.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now let's shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
Let's talk about family. What's 50 Cent's personal life like?
Well, As of 2025, 50 Cent isn't married.
Okay.
He's had several high-profile relationships in the past, but hasn't tied the knot.
Okay.
He's got 2 sons. His oldest, Marquise Jackson, was born in 1997. His mother is Shaniqua Tompkins.
And there's been a lot of public back and forth, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that relationship has been marked by, some public tension, some disagreements,
Okay.
legal disputes even.
Yeah.
So while 50 Cent has been involved in his son's life, it's definitely been a complex relationship.
And what about his younger son?
His younger son, Sire Jackson, was born in 2012. His mother is Daphne Joy, who's a model and an actress.
Okay.
And from what we can see publicly, he seems to have a much more positive and open relationship with Sire. He often shares moments with him on social media.
Yeah, it seems like he's very open about his role as father, especially with Sire, while keeping his romantic relationships a bit more private these days.
Yeah, he seems to be trying to strike a balance there.
Okay, so back to the money. What's 50 Cent's estimated net worth in 2025?
Estimates put his net worth somewhere between $45 and $50 million.
Okay, so even more than what he's making annually.
Exactly. This is a culmination of his work over the years. His success in building wealth, goes way beyond his music career.
What are some of the big factors, the key factors that contribute to that net worth?
Well, his role as executive producer of the Power franchise is a huge contributor. He's not just an actor on the show. He's behind the scenes, making sure the whole thing runs smoothly.
Okay.
And that's incredibly lucrative.
Right, you get those royalties, the production fees, and the show's been running for a while.
It's been a huge success. And it spawned several spin-offs, which means even more revenue for him. He's also got those smart investments in the beverage industry, like his Branson Cognac brand. That's doing very well. And then, of course, we can't forget about that vitamin water deal.
Yeah, that was a legendary move.
Back in 2004, he didn't just endorse vitamin water, he also took an equity stake in the company. And then when Coca-Cola acquired Vitamin Water's parent company in 2007, that investment reportedly earned him an estimated $100 million.
Wow.
Talk about a smart move. That was a game changer for him financially.
So he's really shown this knack for strategic thinking, for being ahead of the curve.
Yeah, he's a savvy businessman. He's not afraid to take risks, and he's always looking for new opportunities. He's also got investments in tech startups, real estate, even franchise businesses. So he's really diversified his portfolio.
It sounds like, even though he's had some legal challenges, some financial bumps in the road in the past, his overall financial picture is pretty strong.
It is. He's really built a solid foundation for himself and his family.
All right, let's walk through his career evolution a bit. We know about the music, that massive breakthrough.
Right.
But how has he transitioned and evolved his career over time?
Well, his breakthrough in 2003 with Get Rich or Die Trying, it wasn't just a hit album. It was a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
It really changed the hip-hop landscape. And then his follow-up album, The Massacre, in 2005, also a massive commercial success.
So he had that string of musical successes.
Absolutely. But then he did something really interesting.
What's that?
He transitioned seamlessly into the world of television production.
Yeah, the Power universe is huge.
It's massive. He's the executive producer of Power and all of its spin-offs, Power Book 2, Ghost, Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, and more. He's built a multi-million-dollar franchise for the Starz network.
And he hasn't stopped there, right? He's still producing content for other networks.
Yeah, he's got projects with Netflix, he's developing new shows. He's really become a force in the entertainment industry.
And his acting career, it's evolved as well.
It has. He started out with that semi-autobiographical film Get Rich or Die Trying back in 2005.
Right.
But he's taken on more serious roles in films like Den of Thieves and Escape Plan.
Okay.
He's showing that he's a versatile actor. He can do more than just play himself.
Yeah, so he's not just a one-trick pony.
Right.
Let's talk about real estate. What does 50 Cent's real estate portfolio look like these days?
Well, he's got a collection of luxury properties across the United States.
Okay.
One of his most well-known properties was that mansion in Farmington, Connecticut.
Yeah, the one he bought back in 2003 for $4.1 million.
Right. And unfortunately, that property became kind of infamous because it was tied to his bankruptcy proceedings back in 2015.
Yeah, but the house itself was pretty spectacular, wasn't it?
Oh, it was huge. It had a pool, a gym, all the bells and whistles.
Wow.
It was eventually sold, though, after he restructured his finances.
And what about other properties? Has he owned places in other cities?
Yeah, he's reportedly owned properties in New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles. These have been described as, very modern, luxurious homes. reflecting his success in the entertainment industry.
So even though he had those challenges with the Connecticut mansion, the bankruptcy, it sounds like he bounced back in the real estate world.
He did. He's shown that he can recover from setbacks, and he's still actively involved in real estate.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of 50 Cent, what are the big takeaways here?
Well, I think 50 Cent's story is a really inspiring one.
Yeah.
It's a story of resilience, of strategic diversification, of entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, he didn't just rest on his laurels as a successful musician.
No, he didn't.
He took that success and he built on it.
He really did. He leveraged his fame and his talent to create this massive media and business empire.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to think about how those principles, the diversification, the willingness to evolve and adapt, how those can be applied to other areas of life.
Absolutely.
To our own careers, to our own interests.
I mean, think about it. How can you diversify your own skill set, your own income streams?
Right.
How can you adapt to the changing landscape of your industry?
How can you be more like 50 Cent?
Exactly. Those are the questions we should all be asking ourselves.
All right, well, that's it for our deep dive into the world of 50 Cent in 2025.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.